ॐ शुक्लां भरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। अगजानन पद्मार्कं गजाननमहर्निशम् अनेकदन्तं भक्तानाम् एकदन्तमुपास्महे। श्रीमहागणपतये नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां विषजे भवरोगिणां निधये सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। ज्ञानानन्दमयं देवं निर्मलस्फटिकाकृतिम् आधारं सर्वविद्यानां श्रीहयग्रीवमुपास्महे। श्रीहयग्रीवमूर्तये नमः। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। श्रीमहासरस्वत्यै नमः। उमाकोमलहस्ताब्जसम्भावितललाटकं हिरण्यकुण्डलं वन्दे कुमारं पुष्करस्रजं। வெற்றிவேல் முருகனுக்கு ஹரஹரோஹரா. லோகவீரியம் மகாபூஜ்யம் சர்வரக்ஷாகரம் விபும் பார்வதி ஹிருதயானந்தம் சாஸ்தாரம் பிரணமாம்யகம். சுவாமியே சரணமையப்பா. வாகர்த்தாவிவ சம்பிரக்தௌ வாகர்த்த பிரதிபத்தயே जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। श्रीपार्वती परमेश्वराभ्यां नमः। कोमलं कूजयन् वेणुं श्यामलोऽयं कुमारकः वेदवेद्यं परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अस्मद्गुरुचरणारविन्दाभ्यां नमः। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। श्रीकृष्ण गोविन्द हरे मुरारे श्रीनाथ नारायण वासुदेव। पीताम्बरं करविराजितचक्रशङ्खकौमोदकी सरसिजं करुणासमुद्रं राधासहायम् अतिसुन्दरमन्दहासं वातालयेशम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। कृष्णो रक्षतु मां चराचर गुरुः कृष्णं नमस्ये सदा। कृष्णेनैव सुरक्षितोऽहमसकृत् कृष्णाय दत्तं मनः। कृष्णादेव समुद्भवो मम विभो कृष्णस्य दासोऽस्म्यहं। कृष्णे भक्तिरचञ्चलास्तु भगवन् हे कृष्ण तुभ्यं नमः। श्रीकृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः। नम्राणां सन्निधत्ते सततमपि पुरस्तैरणभ्यर्थितानपि अर्थान् कामानजस्रं वितरति परमानन्दसान्द्रां गतिं च। इत्थं निःशेषलभ्यो निरवधिकफलः पारिजातो हरे त्वं क्षुद्रं तं शक्रवाटी ध्रुममभिलषति व्यर्थमर्त्यव्रजोऽयं। श्रीगुरुवायूरप्पा शरणं श्रीभट्टपादम् अनिशं हृदि भावयामि। वंशी विभूषितकरात् नवनीरदाभात् पीताम्बरात् अरुणबिम्बफलाधरोष्टात् पूर्णेन्दुसुन्दरमुखात् अरविन्दनेत्रात् कृष्णात् परं किमपि तत्त्वमहं न जाने. കൈരണ്ടും കൂപ്പി ഞാൻ വീണ്ടുമീറക്കുന്നു നീരജലോചന നിന്നോടായി. ഏതീനു മന്യനെ കുമ്പിടേണ്ടാത്തോരു രീതിയിൽ നീ എന്നെ പാലിക്കെന്നായി. കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ ജയ കൃഷ്ണ ഹരേ. Good morning, everyone. So we'll just do a quick review of 28 and 29. Ramya, can you do one of those chapters, 28 or 29?
Yeah, I can do 28.
Yata Garu, can you do 29?
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. Dasakam 28. Lakshmi Swayamvara Varnanam. गरलं तरलानलं पुरस्तात् जलधेरुद्विजगालकालकूटम् अमरस्तुतिवादमोदनिघ्नो गिरिशस्तन्निपपौ भवत्प्रियार्थम् विमतत् सुसुरासुरेषु जाता सुरभिस्तां ऋषिषु न्यधास्त्रिधामन् हयरत्नमभूतथे भरत्नं द्युतरुच्चाप्सरससुरेषु तानि जगदीश भवत्परा तदानीं कमनीया कमला बभूव देवी अमलामवलोक्य यां विलोलः सकलोऽपि स्पृहयां बभूव लोकः त्वयि हृदे तथैव देव्यै त्रिदशेन्द्रो मणिपीठिकां व्यतारीत् सकलोपहृताभिषेचनीयैः ऋषयस्तां श्रुतिगीर्भिरभ्यसिञ्चन् अभिषेकजलानुपातिमुग्धत्वत्पाङ्गैरवभूषिताङ्गवल्लीं मणिकुण्डलपीतचेलहार प्रमुखैस्तामराधयो योऽन्वभूषन् वरनस्रजमातभृङ्गनादां ददती सा कुचकुम्भ मन्दयानां पदशिञ्जित मञ्जुनूपुरा त्वां कलितव्रीलविलासमाससाद गिरिशद्रुहिणादिसर्वदेवान् गुणभाजोऽपि विमुक्तदोषलेशान् गुणभाजोऽप्यविमुक्तदोषलेशान् अवमृश्य सदैव सर्वरम्ये निहिता त्वन्ययापि दिव्यमाला उरसा तरसा ममानितैनां भुवनानां जननीम् अनन्यभावां त्वदुरो विलसत् दीक्षणश्री परिवृष्ट्या परिपुष्टमाय विश्वम् परिवृष्ट्या परिपुष्टमास विश्वम् अतिमोहन विभ्रमा तदानीं मदयन्ती खलु वारुणी निरागात् तमसः पदवीमदास्त्वमेनाम् अतिसम्माननया महासुरेभ्यः तरुणाम्बुधसुन्दरस्तदा त्वं ननु धन्वन्तरिरुत्थितों भूराशेः अमृतं कलशे वहन् कराभ्याम् अखिलार्थिं हरमारुतालयेश कृष्णाय परब्रह्मणे नमः।
Very good.
मोहिनी अवतारम् उद्गच्छतस्तव करादमुतं हरत्सु दैत्येषु तान् शरणान्.
Small, that's not the slight change in a different tune, right? Udgachatastava karadamrutam haratsu.
Okay. उद्गच्छतस्तव करादमुतं हरत्सु दैत्येषु तान् शरणान् अनुनीय देवान् सद्यस्तिरोदधिदेव भवद्ब्रावातु सद्यस्तिरोदधि ददेव भवद्ब्रावातु उद्यत्सयूथ्य कलहादितिजा बभूवुः श्यामां रुचापि वयसापि तनुं तदानीं प्राप्त. Is it correct?
No, I think your tune is going a little off. I'll say the second stanza, right, and then you take it.
Yeah.
Shyamam ruchapi vayasapi tanum tadhanim praptosi tunga kucha mandala bhanguram tvam piyusha kumbhakalaham parimuchya sarve trishna kulah pratiyayustvaduroja kumbe.
कात्वं मृगाक्षि विभजस्य सुधामिमामिति आरूढरागविवशानभियाचतो मून् विश्वस्य ते मयि कथं कुलटास्मि दैत्याः इत्यालपन्नपि सुविश्वसितानतानीः मोदा सुधा कलशमेषु दतत्सु सात्वं दुश्चेष्टितं मम सहध्वमिति ब्रुवाण पंक्ति प्रभेद विनिवेशित देव दैत्या लीला विलास गतिभिः समदा सुधां ताम् अस्मास्वियं प्रणय नित्य सुरेषु तेषु जोषं स्थितेष्वत समाप्य सुधां सुरेषु त्वं भक्तलोकवशगो निज रूपमेत्या स्वर्भानुमर्द परिपीत सुधं व्यलावीः त्वत्तसुदाहरण योग्य फलं परेषु दत्वा गते त्वयि सुरै खलु ते व्यगृह्णन् घोरेधमूर्च्छतिरणे बलिदैत्य माया व्यामोहिते सुरगणे त्वमिहा विरासीः.
The third line after Murchati Rane, there is a pause, okay? The third line.
Okay.
And then Balidaitya Maya Vyamohite Suragane comes together, but after keep going.
Yeah. Tvam kalanemi mathamali mukambujaghamtha shakro jaghana balijam bhavalan sapakan शुष्काद्र दुष्करवधे नमुचौचलूने फेने ननारद गिरान्यरुणोरणं त्वम्.
Even here, Sujata Garu, that penena comes along with the third line, okay? Oh. So lene, penena, and then there is a pause. Narada Giranyarunoranam tvam. Shushkardra dushkaravade namuchauchalune penena. Then pause. Narada Gira.
Okay, somehow I didn't. Okay. योषा वपुर्दनुज मोहन माहितं ते श्रुत्वा विलोकन कुतूहलवान् महेशः भूतैः समं गिरिजया च गतः पदं ते श्रुत्वा ब्रवीदभिमतं त्वमथो तिरोधाः आरामसी मनिच कंदुक घात लीला लोलायमान नयनां कमने मनोज्ञाम् त्वामेष वीक्ष विगलत्वसना मनोभूवेगादनङ्गरि पुरङ्ग समालिलिङ्ग भूयोऽपि विद्रुतवतीममुदाव्य देवो वीर्यप्रमुक्ष विकसत्परमार्धबोधः त्वन्मानितस्तव महत्त्वमुच देवि त्वन्मानितस्तव महात्ममुवाच देव्यै तत्तादृशस्त्वमववातनिकेतनाथाम्.
So the first line, Vidruta Vatim Upadhavya, the first line of that stanza.
Oh. Vidruta
Vatim Upadhavya.
Oh, okay.
All right, very good. I think you picked the tune after that second stanza. So
yeah.
There are only like three tunes. The 4-liners, and then the 2-liners, which are with the way if you have 2-liners, is one what 28 is, one what 29 is. That's all. They pretty much all revolve around those, right? So okay, so we'll continue with 33 today. So Radha Garu, can you be a student? And Minu, you can be a student first. Okay. So we finished the first 2 stanzas, right, of 33. So we'll continue from stanza 3. Sadhvadashi Vratamato Bhavadarchanartam Varsham Dhadau Madhuvane Yamunopakanthe Patnya Samham Sumanasa Mahatim Bitanvan Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pashu Shashti Kotim. So we were talking about this great king, right, called Ambarisha, who came in the clan or came the hierarchy of Swayambhuva Manu, Vaivasvata Manu. And so this Ambarisha, although he ruled over the entire earth, he had all the riches and everything, he had completely devoted himself to praying only to Hari, to the extent that he did not want anything, right? And he was very neutral, he had control over the senses. So we talked about all the great qualities of Ambarisha. So that's where the end of the second stanza it says Hari Bhagavan was so pleased with him that he gave him the Sudarshana Chakra even without him asking, to say that is going to take care of you, right? Now this Ambarisha, right, so he then decides to have he always has fasts on Ekadashi. So we're going to talk about 8 things that they recommend that you do during the Kali Yuga, and one of them is to fast during Ekadashi. So this was anyway, here Ambarisha is also having this fast. Now the way you do the fast for this is, you start it on the Dashami day night, right? You start there, you do it all through the Ekadashi day. Then on Dwadashi day, when there is a period called as the Parana, which is the time you break the fast, that's when you break the fast. So this Ambarisha always does this fast. And it talks about, he also had his wife who was also very kind of amicable to him. She also aligned with it. That is extremely important, right? If two people go in opposite directions, then your wife will cook well, or the other way around, right? And then you can't eat. So they both were aligned, and they both always did the fasting and everything together. So in this one of these years, when he was doing this fast, it was, I think it says it is a Kartika month. So he's been observing the fast for 1 year. So 1 year, every Ekadashi, he has been observing the fast. And this was the culmination of that year when that fast was getting over. So he has finished all that, and then he's worshipping the Lord finally. And then he invites a lot of people, and then he gives a lot of cows in charity and everything to the Brahmanas who have come. So that's what it's talking about, how he's been observing it for 1 year along with his wife. Sa Dwadashi Vratamatho Bhavadarchanartam, Varsham Dadau Madhuvane Yamunopa Kanthe. So on the banks of Yamuna, there's a Madhuvana, that's where he's finishing up his fast. Patnya Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Vitanvan, Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pashu Shashti Kotim. So he's giving 60 crores cows as charity to all the Brahmins there. Dwadashi Vratamato Bhavadarchanartam Varsham Dadhau Madhuvane Yamunopakanthe Patnya Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Bitanvanne Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pashu Shashti Kotim.
Sadvadashi Vratamado Bhavadachanardham Varsham Dadhau Madhuvane Yamunopakante Patsna Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Vitanvan Pujam Dvideshu Visrajan Pashusashti Kotim.
Dvijeshu, that last line, second word.
Okay. Satvadashi Vratamado Bhavadachanardham Varsham Dadhau Madhuvane Yamanopakante Patsna Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Vitanvan Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pashusashti Kotim.
Sadvadashi Vratamado Bhavadarchanartam Varsham Dadau Madhuvane Yamunopakante Patnya Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Vidanvan Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pasushashti Kotim. Sadvadashi Vratamato Bhavadarchanartam Varsham Dadau Madhuvane Yamunopakante Patnya Samam Sumanasa Mahatim Vidanvan Pujam Dvijeshu Visrujan Pasushashti Kotim.
The last line la be sru, adu vandu sa sound, okay? Srujan.
Visrujan.
Visrujan, yeah.
Visrujan. Okay.
Stanza 4. Tatrataparanadine bhavadarchanante durvasasasya munina bhavanam prapede bhoktum vritascha sanrupena parartishilo mandam jagama yamunam niyaman vidhasyan. So after all the charity and everything is done, so all the Brahmins who he had invited, the first job is always to feed your guests, right? So he first makes sure all the Brahmins have their meal. And then when he's about to break his fast at that time, so suddenly there is an uninvited guest who shows up. So Durvasa Muni comes to meet Ambarisha, because Ambarisha, like we said, is a very, very famous king. He was ruling over large portions, right? So Durvasa comes to meet. So then king, of course, he offers Durvasa that you please eat, and then he's going to start eating. And like Durvasa says, absolutely, he's welcome. He's come along with his set of disciples, and he says that's fine. I'm going to go to the Yamuna river. I'm going to do my whatever Madhyanikam he had to do at that time before he breaks his fast also. He says, I'm just going to the Yamuna river and I'm going to meditate and do my things and I'm going to come. So Durvasa then leaves to do that. So Tatrata Parana Dine Bhavadarchanante, comma, Durvasa Sasya, you can say that together, Durvasa Sasya Munina Bhavanam Prapede, Bhoktum Vritascha Sa Nripena Pararti Shilo, comma, Mandam Jagama Yamunam Niyaman Vidhasyan. So Mandam, referring to Durvasa, is going very slowly. He's taking his time to go to Yamuna to do his pujas. तत्रातपारणदिने भवदर्चनान्ते दुर्वाससास्य मुनिना भवनं प्रपेदे भोक्तुं वृतश्च सनृपेण परार्तिशीलो मन्दं जगामयमुनां नियमान् विधास्यन्.
तत्रादपारणदिने भवदर्चनान्ते दुर्वाससास्य मुनिना भवनं प्रपेदे भोक्तुं वृतश्च संरूपेण परार्तिशीलो मन्दं जगामयमुनां नियमान् विधास्यन्. तत्रादपारणदिने भवदर्चनान्ते दुर्वाससास्य मुनिना भवनं प्रपेदे भोक्तुं वृतश्च संरूपेण परार्तिशीलो मन्दं जगामयमुनां नियमान् विधास्यन्.
तत्रातपारणदिने भवदर्चनान्ते दुर्वाससास्य मुनिना भवनं प्रपेदे भोक्तुं वृतश्च सनृपेण परार्तिशीलो मन्दं जगामयमुनां नियमान् विधास्यन्. तत्रातपारणदिने भवदर्चनान्ते दुर्वाससास्य मुनिना भवनं प्रपेदे भोक्तुं वृतश्च सनृपेण परार्तिशीलो मन्दं जगामयमुनां नियमान् विधास्यन्.
Stands of fine. राज्ञातपारणमुहूर्तसमाप्तिखेदात् वारैव पारणमकारि भवत्परेण प्राप्तो मुनिस्तदत दिव्यदृशा विजानन् क्षिप्यन् क्रुधोद्धृतजटो विततान कृत्याम्. So now the time comes where the Parana Muhurtam is going to get over. He only had one Muhurta, which is 48 minutes left for the Dwadashi thing to get over, right? So of course, when we even, I'm not saying everybody, at least me, when the guests are late, the first thing we do is we just sneak in and have a quick meal and come so we are not hungry, right? So especially in a time like this where his Parana is about to finish, his time is about to finish, right? And Durvasa has still not come. So, he's worried. Ambarisha is getting worried because he says that such a great Muni like Durvasa has come with his disciples. If I'm not waiting for him, that is extremely flawed in my character, and that's going to show up. That is an extremely poor behavior on my front, especially when a great guest like Durvasa has come. So I have to wait for him. But he says that the other problem is my Parana time is going to get over. So 1 year I've been doing this and I want to finish it on time. So he doesn't know what to do. He's completely torn between whether he should wait for Durvasa or whether he should consume his food. So of course he goes and asks his ministers, and they say, you know what, all you do is you just have a little bit of tulasi water, and you have tulasi water that is equivalent to breaking the fast, and that's not either eating your food also. So you break your fast, and once Durvasa comes, he can eat and then you can eat, right? So that's what the ministers advise Ambarisha, and Ambarisha does that. He takes a sip of tulasi water and then he breaks his fast. So right after he's done, after a few minutes, Durvasa comes. And Durvasa, it says here, Divya Drisha Vijanan. So Durvasa can see what happens anywhere, right? So he comes and says, King, I know you broke your fast without waiting for me, right? That was very, not the right behavior from your side. So what Durvasa, of course, he gets very angry. And Durvasa, once he gets angry, what happens is, he plucks some hair from the back of his head, and then from that comes a Vitatana Krityam. Krityam is like an evil spirit who actually comes, and this is going to come in a few places. You're going to see the word Kritya come in several other Dasakams also. So he plucks from his matted hair, he plucks, and this Kritya comes, and this Kritya who's now about to rush towards Ambarisha and to kill him. So Rajnyata Parana Muhurta Samapti Khedat. Put it at the end of that line, comma. Next line you have Dwa, that becomes a Va. Varaiva Paranamakari Bhavat Parena Prapto Munis Tadatha Divya Drusha Bijanan, comma. Kshipyan Krudot Dhrita Jato Vitatana Krityam. Rajnyataparana samapti khedate varaiva paranamakari bhavat parena prapto munistadata divya drusha vijanan kshipyan krudhodhrita jato vitatana krityam.
Rajnyadaparana muhurta samapti kedat varaiva parana makari bhavat parena prapto munistadata divyadrusha vijanan kshipyan krudodhruta jato vitatana krutyam. Rajnyadaparana muhurta samapti kedat varaiva parana makari bhavat parena prapto munistada divya drusha vijanan kshipyan krudodhruta jato vitatana krutyam.
Rajnyataparana samapti ketat dvaraiva paranamakari bhavat parena prapto munistat dadivyata drusha vijanan kshipyan krudo dhruta jato vidadana krityam.
Mean on the third line, Prapto Munis Thadatha. 3 letters are there. Thadatha.
Oh, Munista Dadi Karyada.
Yeah, the second tha, Thadatha.
Munis Tadada.
Yeah, correct.
Munis Tadada Divya. Okay.
Yeah.
Rajnyata Parana Muhurta Samapti Ketat Dvaraiva Parana Makari Bhavat Parena Prapto Munis Tadada Divya Trisha Vijanan Shibyan Kruto Druta Jado Vidadana Krutyam.
Yeah. The second line, first word and the Dwa, right? The Dwa and the It is going to the end of the first line. So the second line beginning, just Va will remain. Vareva. Okay. Stanza 6. Krityam chatamasi dharam bhuvanam dahantim agre bivikshya nripatir napada chakampe twadbhakta bhadam abhivikshya sudarshanam te krityanalam shalabhayan muniman vadhavit. So this Kritya, who is now running towards Ambarisha, and this Kritya, it's saying it's so scary that it is actually, it's ready to burn the entire earth. That's how fierce it is, and it is now running towards Ambarisha, right? So, you know, there is one very beautiful song, right? It says, that's a Hindi song, right? Where they says, why is Krishna not coming in front of me? So they say, you don't call him like his other devotees are calling. Then they ask, you know, why is, you know, me know, I know the song better, and it's not, lyrics are not coming to my mind. Anyway, it talks through the various things like that, right? Why is Krishna not...
Achyutam Keshavam.
Achyutam Keshavam. And then they say, why is Krishna not dancing like me? Because you're not like Gopikas, you don't have that affection, right? So similarly, what happens here is, no matter how devoted we are standing and a dog comes running towards you, let's say hypothetically, because I'm afraid of dogs, the first thing I do is I'm going to run, right? So that's because we don't have the trust. So here Ambarisha is standing and this Kritya is coming running towards Ambarisha, and he doesn't move. He doesn't move even an inch, it says. He just padacha kampe. He doesn't move from where he is, because that is the amount of confidence he has in the Lord. Right? Just like how Prahlada also, when he was thrown down, he did not care about it. He did not refuse. He says, you want to make me jump? I will jump. Because that's a trust they had. So similarly here, Ambarisha also has so much trust that he doesn't move when the Kritya is coming. So naturally, because he has the trust, the Sudarshana Chakra which he had, which the Lord had gifted him without Ambarisha asking, now comes. The Sudarshana Chakra now devours this Kritya. It burns the Kritya down to ground. And what the Sudarshana Chakra does is it now turns and starts going after the Durvasa Muni, right, in retaliation. So Krityam cha tam asidharam bhuvanam dahantim, put a im at the end of that line, dahantim, comma. Next line, the ma becomes a agrebhivikshya nripatir na padacha kampe tvat bhakta badham abhivikshya sudarshanam te, comma, krityanalam shalabhayan munim anvadhavit. So just like how a moth, when it runs into the fire, the moth gets burnt. Similarly, this Kritya gets burnt from the Sudarshana Chakra. Krityam chatamasi dharam bhuvanam dahantim agre bhivikshya nripatir na padacha kampe tvad bhakta bhadam abhivikshya sudarshanam te krityanalam shalabhayan muniman vadhavit.
कृत्याञ्च तामसि धरां भुवनं दहन्तीम् अग्रेऽभिवीक्ष्य नृपतिर्न पदाश्च कम्पे त्वद्भक्तपादमभिवीक्ष्य तु सुदर्शनन्ते कृत्यानलं शुलभयन् मुनिमन्वधावित्.
Shalabhayan, fourth line, Shalabhayan.
Okay. कृत्याञ्च तामसि धरां भुवनं दहन्तीम् अग्रेऽभिवीक्ष्य नृपतिर्न पदाश्च कम्पे त्वद्भक्तपादमभिवीक्ष्य सुदर्शनन्ते कृत्यानलं शलभयन् मुनिमन्वधावित्.
कृत्यां च कृत्यां च तामसितरां भुवनं दहन्तीम् अग्रेऽपि वीक्ष्य नृपतिर्न पदाच्च कम्पे त्वत्भक्तपादमपि वीक्ष्य सुदर्शनं ते कृत्यानलं शलभयन्मुनिमन्वदावीत्. कृत्यां च तामसितरां भुवनं दहन्तीम् अग्रेऽपि वीक्ष्य नृपतिर्न पदाच्च कम्पे त्वद्भक्तपादमपि वीक्ष्य सुदर्शनं ते कृत्यानलं शलभयन्मुनिमन्वदावीत्.
Stanza 7. धावन्न शेषभुवनेषु भिया स पश्यन् विश्वत्रचक्रमपि ते गतवान् विरिञ्चम् कः कालचक्रमतिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः शर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव. So the Durvasa Muni is now running all over, in all directions. He's running on earth, he's running in the sky, he's running over waters, through all the planetary systems. No matter where he goes, the Sudarshana Chakra continues to chase him. So, and he's not able to bear the heat which is coming out of the Sudarshana Chakra. So finally he gives up, and first he goes to Virincham, he goes to Brahma. And he goes to Brahma and he says that, the Sudarshana Chakra is chasing me, so you please help me out. So, Brahma says, see, even I am also limited from my powers. He says at the end of the Dviparardha, when my time comes, even I am also completely consumed into this destruction. So even I cannot protect you. There's only so much I can do. And even the great sages who are coming out of Brahma, he says, even we are all bound by it. So Brahma says, I am helpless. I cannot help you. So next he goes to Sharvam. Sharvam, he goes to Shiva. So he goes to Shiva, he goes to Kailasha and says the same thing. And even Shiva says the same thing. Shiva says, I myself, Mrida, came from between the eyebrows of Brahma. Even I am bound by time. And this Kala Chakram which is there, even I am contained by it, right? So even I cannot do anything to help you out. So even Shiva also gives up saying, I am not able to protect you from this. So Dhavan Nashesha Bhuvaneshu Bhiya Sa Pashyan, put a plus, Vishwatra Chakramapi Te Gatavan Virincham. So those two lines are together. Kaha is there, put a ih sound, kah. Kala Chakramati Langhaya Titya Pastaha, comma, Sharvam Yayau Sacha Bhavantam Avandataiva. If you want to break it, you can break it that ma. Bhavantam Avandataiva. धावन्न शेषभुवनेषु भिया स पश्यन् विश्वत्र चक्रमपि ते गतवान् विरिञ्चम् कः कालचक्रमतिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः सर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव
तावन्न शेषभुवनेषु भियास पश्यन् विश्वत्र चक्रमपि ते गतवान् विरिञ्चं कः कालचक्रमधिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः सर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव धावन्नसेषु भुवनेषु भियास पश्यन् विश्वत्र चक्रमपि ते गतवान् विरिञ्चं कः कालचक्रमतिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः सर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव
तावन्न शेषभुवनेषु भियास पश्यन् विश्वत्र चक्रमपि ते गतवान् विरिञ्चं कः कालचक्रमतिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः सर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव तावन्न शेषभुवनेषु भियास पश्यन् विश्वत्र चक्रमपि देगवान् विरिञ्चं कः कालचक्रमतिलङ्घयतीत्यपास्तः सर्वं ययौ स च भवन्तमवन्दतैव
Stanza 8 भूयो भवन्निलयमेत्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यम्बरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन्. So finally Ambarisha, not knowing what to do, he's gone to Brahma, he's gone to Shiva, and then he doesn't know where to go next. So he then goes to Vaikuntham. So there is two Vaikuntams, and we'll talk about what those two Vaikuntams are much later in our things. But there is something called as a Karya Vaikuntam, which is different from the main Vaikuntam. So anyway, he goes there, and then he prays to Narayana and says, Narayana, look, this Sudarshana Chakra has been chasing me. I think I made a mistake by offending a very religious person. So I don't know what to do. You are the one who has to actually protect me here, because this is, I think I'm going to get burnt, and you are my last refuge. He goes to Narayana. So then, I was just thinking today when we were chanting this Dhyana Slokam, right? So there is one other Dhyana Slokam where we say, Krishno Rakshatumam Chara Chara Guruhu. We said that, right? It says here, Krishna Deva Samudbhavo Mama Vibho Krishnasya Dhasosmyaham. So we are saying, we are Krishna, I am your Dasa, I am your servant. That's how we chant, right? So, but Narayana is saying that my devotees are not my servants. He says, Mama, where is it? Bhavana Hamrishe Nanu Bhakta Dasaha. So Narayana says, I am the servant to my devotees. My devotees are not my servants. And he says the devotees are those, not like people who just pray once in a while. These are people who have completely given up all the material addictions they have, all the things they have towards material, completely surrendered to me. And they are living only because they want to serve me. So those devotees, he says, Nanu Bhakta Dasaha. I am the servant to those devotees. I am completely bound by them. I am not independent of my devotees. So this is what Narayana is telling Durvasa Muni, saying, you cannot come to me because I cannot do anything. I am bound by my devotees, and Ambarisha is one such devotee. You cannot move Ambarisha by any other material things. The only thing that can move Ambarisha is when he thinks of me, and that's what he's committed to. He says, I am also helpless. You cannot do anything. Even I cannot protect you. So he says, you have to go back to Ambarisha. Yahyambarisha padameva bhajeti. You go, you surrender yourself to the feet of Ambarisha and not to my feet. That's what Narayana says. And he says, not only am I my devotees servant, even the devotees of my devotees, I am their servant also. And this is, I'm like talking about exalted devotees, right? People who are nothing but just devoted completely themselves to Hari and not thinking about anything. So even Narayana says, even I am helpless, you go back to Ambarisha, right? And sends him out. So Bhuyo Bhavan Nilayam Etya Munim Namantam, Proche Bhavana Hamrishe Nanu Bhakta Dasaha Jnanam Tapascha Vinayanvita Meva Manyam Yahyambarisha Padameva Bhajeti Bhuman. So he says Jnanam Tapascha. So Jnanam, the knowledge that you have, and the tapas, the austerities that you do, he says, are going to be amplified only when you have humility, right? If you're very proud of something, he says all of that is waste. It's of no use. You need to be completely humble and you should have the humility for all of this to be worth it, right? भूयो भवन्निलयमेत्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यं भरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन्
भूयो भवन्निलयमेत्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यं वरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन् भूयो भवन्निलयमेत्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यं वरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन्
भूयो भवन्निलयमेद्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यं वरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन् भूयो भवन्निलयमेद्य मुनिं नमन्तं प्रोचे भवानहमृषे ननु भक्तदासः ज्ञानं तपश्च विनयान्वितमेव मान्यं याह्यं वरीशपदमेव भजेति भूमन्
Stanza 9. तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य भवदस्त्रमसावनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरधादखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेऽपि कृपां च शंसन्. So when Durvasa finally comes back to Ambarisha, and then he falls on the feet of Ambarisha. So even Ambarisha feels very, awkward and embarrassed because such a great Muni like Durvasa falling on his feet. So he felt, Ambarisha felt even bad. He says, I didn't even do anything. This Sudarshana Chakra suddenly comes and starts chasing you and driving you all over, and now it's driving you to fall on my feet. So he's feeling ashamed and he apologizes, saying, unknowingly all these things has happened. But Ambarisha then Durvasa apologizes to Ambarisha, and Ambarisha then prays to Hari and says that if my devotion to you is true, then let the Sudarshana Chakra not do anything to Ambarisha, right? Or to Durvasa. Then Sudarshana Chakra then goes away and Durvasa is then free. So Durvasa is extremely happy and he then realizes the devotion that Ambarisha has and the bhakti that he has, to the extent that even after all these things has happened, Ambarisha did not have any qualms in his mind and he completely forgave, or he did not even worry about anything, forgiving, right? He didn't even think anything bad about Durvasa, right? So he then asked Ambarisha, what do you want? I can bless you with anything you want. And the only thing Ambarisha asks is, I just want more devotion. So that is the one common thing you'll start seeing across, lot of this devotees that we will see, right? So whether it be Prahlada or it be Ambarisha, or we're going to see about Prachetas, we're going to see about, Kuchelo Pakyanam later, a lot of these devotees we'll see. When they finally get access to the Lord and somebody says, what do you want? They always say, I don't want anything, I only want more bhakti towards you. Right? So because the God will only come to those people who will ask for bhakti. If you're going to ask for more things, then Narayana will not come. Because Narayana, the only thing he gives is liberation. For all others, there is everything else. Shiva, we spoke about Ashutoshi, right? So anything you want, Shiva will instantly grant. So in this case, Narayana, Durvasa then blesses him, saying that you will have more bhakti, right? More devotion you will have, and blesses him. Tavat sametya munina sa grihita pado, rajapasritya Bhavad Astram Asavanaushit. You can break it into three or you can say it together. Bhavad Astram Asavanaushit. Chakre Gate Muniradhat Akhilashi Shosmai. That might be easier to break that second da into it and a. So Muniradhat Akhilashi Shosmai, Tvad Bhaktim Agasi Kritepi Kripam cha Shamsan. तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य भवदस्त्रमसावनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरदादखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेऽपि कृपां च शंसन्.
तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य भवदस्त्रमसावनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरधात् अखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेऽपि कृपाञ्च शंसन् तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य भवदस्त्रमसावनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरदात् अखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेऽपि कृपाञ्च शंसन्
Radha Garu, that first line, grihita pado.
गृहीतपाद ओके
तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य राजापसृत्य भवदस्त्रमसावनौषीत् or shoot
Sheet. Vanaushit.
मनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरतात् अखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेभिः कृपां च शंसन् तावत् समेत्य मुनिना सगृहीतपादो राजापसृत्य भवतस्त्रमसावनौषीत् चक्रे गते मुनिरतात् अखिलाशिषोऽस्मै त्वद्भक्तिमागसि कृतेऽपि कृपां च शंसन्
Sunset 10. Raja pratīksha munimeka samāmhanāshvān sambhojya sādhu tamrisham visrujan prasannam bhuktva swayam tvayi tatopi dridham rato bhūt sāyujyamāpacha samām pavane shapāyāh. So when Durvasa now went for the brief time, because Durvasa can go anywhere he wants, it still took 1 year in earth years for Durvasa to come back to Ambarisha. So for that 1 year, right, Ambarisha was patiently waiting for Durvasa, and he had only consumed water and not taken his food till Durvasa came back. Then finally, after Durvasa came, he fed Durvasa and his disciples who were waiting, and then Ambarisha and his wife also broke their ate their food, right, finished the Dwadasi Parana on that day, and that then finally with that his devotion towards Narayana became even more, right, and finally Sayujyam, finally he attained liberation with you. So, oh, that Lord of Guru Ayur, please protect me also. So with that Ambarishopakhyanam comes. This is one of the very famous chapters in Bhagavatam where it talks about the power of the devotee. Right? A lot of such chapters are there. This is one of them. So, Raja Pratikshya Munim Eka, if you want to make it, Munim Eka Samamanashwan, comma, Sambhojya Sadhu Tamrishim Visrijan Prasannam Bhuktva Swayam Twayi Tatopi Dridham Ratobhut. Put the it at the end of that line, comma, Ratobhut. Some books have it in the next line beginning, you can strike that off. Sayujyamapa cha samam pavanesha payaha. Raja pratiksha munimeka samamanashwan sambhojya sadhu tamrishim visrujan prasannam bhuktva swayam tvayi tatopi dridham rato bhut sayujyamapa cha samam pavanesha payaha.
राजा प्रतीक्ष मुनिमेक समा राजा प्रतीक्ष मुनिमेक समामनाश्वान् सम्भोज्य साधु तमृषं विसृजन् प्रसन्नं भुक्त्वा स्वयं त्वयि ततोऽपि दृढं रतोऽभूत् सायुज्यमाप च समां पवनेशपायाः राजा प्रतीक्ष मुनिमेक समामनाश्वान् सम्भोज्य साधु तमृषं विसृजन् प्रसन्नं भुक्त्वा स्वयं त्वयि ततोऽपि दृढं रतोऽभूत् सायुज्यमाप च समां पवनेशपायाः
राजा प्रतीक्ष्य मुनिमेघ समामनाश्वान् सम्भोज्य साधु दमृषीं विसृजन् प्रसन्नं भुक्त्वा स्वयं द्वयि ततोऽपि दृढं रतोऽभूत् सायुज्यमाप च समां भवनेशपाया राजा प्रतीक्ष्य मुनिमेघसमामनाश्वान् सम्भोज्य साधुदं ऋषिं विसृजन् प्रसन्नं भुक्त्वा स्वयं द्वैदतोऽपि दृढं रतोऽभूत् सायुज्यमाप च समां भवनेषु पाया.
Pavanesha Payaha. Anga Visarga undirukku அந்த end
Oh,
of
sorry,
it.
Pavanesha Paya.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. That completes Amrita Charitram. So let's switch. So maybe like let me see who I had. Shanti, you can be a student, and Lalita, you can be a student today. Okay. Lalita, I saw her. Okay, yeah. So we'll do 39, right? So like I think now we are getting into the kind of the core of Narayaneeyam, right? From this on, like I said, from 37th chapter to 88, 37 to 88 is all around Krishnavataram, right? 51, 52 Dasakams devoted to Krishnavataram. So we already saw 37, 38, which was the birth of Lord Krishna. So now we're going to start getting into 39, right? So from here, all of the chapters we're going to cover are all related to Krishna only. So 39 is Yoga Maya Nayanadi Varnanam. So this is bringing Yoga Maya from Gokulam, right? That's this chapter. So stanza 1. Bhavantamayamudvahan yadukulodvaho nissarhan dadarsha gaganochala jalabaram kalindhatmajam aho salila sanchayas sapunaraindrajalodito jalauga iva tatkshanat prapadame yatamhayayo. So we saw in the 38th Dashakam, right? Krishna was born, all that we saw. And then we saw how by the power of Yoga Maya at that time, so everybody fell asleep, right? That's kind of continuation from that story, right? The doorkeepers fell asleep. Nobody knew what was actually happening. And only Vasudeva was awake. And then Krishna had told Vasudeva that you take me. He was in the Chaturbhujam first. And then he became the form of a child. And then he told Vasudeva, you go, take me to Gokulam. There you'll see a girl. You bring that baby girl back here and swap us, right? So this Vasudeva, then suddenly everything starts opening up, right? The doors start opening, his shackles, they all start opening up. And now Vasudeva steps out. And Vasudeva steps out, we saw in the last stanza of the previous Dashakam, that because of the rain, Adishesha had come to give protection. And then he was covering Krishna and Vasudeva as they were walking through. So here, because of the heavy rain that was happening, it talks about how Yamuna had flooded, because Vasudeva has to cross from Mathura to go to Gokulam. So Mathura is on the west side of Yamuna and Gokulam is on the east side of Yamuna. So he has to cross that. So when he was crossing at that time, it says how in Ramayana, when of course the ocean, gave, although the Hanuman, everybody built the things, the ocean helped and gave way for them to build that. Similarly here, Yamuna also parted and then allowed Vasudeva to cross along with Krishna, and then Adishesha was also giving directions all along of how to go to the other side, because it was pitch dark at night and it was raining as well. So that's why they're talking how he gets on to Gokul at this point. So Bhavantam ayam udvahan yadu kulodvaho nissaran, dadarsha Gaganochalaj. So Gaganochalaj Jalabharam Kalindatmajam. Kalindatmajam is a daughter of Kalinda, which is referring to Kalindi, which is river Yamuna, right? So Kalindatmajam. Aho Salila Sanchayaha, putta is Sanchayas Sa Punaraindra Jalodito, Jalauga Iva Tatkshanat Prapada Meyatam Ayayav. Bhavantamayamudvahan yadukulodvaho nissaran dadarsha gaganochala jalabharam kalindatmajam aho salila sanchayas sapunaraindrajalodito jalauga iva tatkshanat prapadame yatamayayo.
Bhavandamayamuddvahan yadukulonvaho nissaran tadarsa gagano salajalabaram kalindatmajam aho salila sanjayassa punaraindra jalodito jalaugayiva dakshanat prabadameya tamayav. Bhavan भवन्तमयमुद्वहन् यदुकुलोत्वहो निस्सरन् ददर्श गगनोऽसलज्जलभरां कलिन्दात्मजाम् अहो सलिलसञ्जयः स पुनरैन्द्रजालोदितो जलौघ इव दक्षिणात् प्रबदमे यथा माययौ
भवन्तमयमुद्वहन् यदुकुलोद्वहो निस्सरन् ददर्श गगनोच्छलज्जलभरां कलिन्दात्मजाम् अहो सलिलसञ्जयः स पुनरैन्द्रजालोदितो जलौघैव तत्क्षणात् प्रपदमे यथा माययो भवन्तमयमुद्वहन् यदुकुलोद्वहो निस्सरन् ददर्श गगनोच्चलज्जलभरां कलिन्दात्मजाम् अहो सलिलसञ्जयः स पुनरैन्द्रजालोदितो जलौघ इव तत्क्षणात् प्रपदमे यथा माययो.
Stanza 2. प्रसुप्तपशुपालिकां निभृतमारुदद्बालिकाम् अपावृतकवाटिकां पशुपवाटिकामाविशन् भवन्तमयमर्पयन् प्रसवतल्पके तत्पदात् वहन् कपटकन्यकां स्वपुरमागतो वेगतः. So Krishna was born on on Ashtami. So we saw in the midnight, and then when that transition to Navami, so at that time Yoga Maya was born in Gokulam, and we'll talk a little bit more about it later in the chapter. Anyway, so when Vasudeva now reaches Gokulam, pitch dark, even there everybody's fallen asleep, right? And what happens? He doesn't know where to go. He knows Nandagopa. So Nandagopa and Vasudeva are very, very close friends, right? So is the Yashoda, Devaki. They're all very tight friends, right? So, but he knows kind of where to go, but he doesn't know where exactly to go. So only thing he can hear at that time is he hears the sound of a baby crying at night. So that is what is guiding him. So he's able to get into Nandagopa's palace or his big house there, and then he's able to go to the labor room where Yashoda had just delivered a baby, right? And we'll talk about why some of this you don't realize later, it comes later, so I don't want to jump to that. So he then guides him, and then he goes there, and then he swaps, right? He then places Krishna there with Yashoda. He takes a baby girl who is there, which is his Kapata Kanyakam. So this is Kanyaka, is at the end of it is Yoga Maya. So the one who is able to now control all the Maya and everything that is happening in this world. So he then takes that Yoga Maya, and then very quickly, Swapuram, he comes back to he comes back to his own, the jail, right? And once he comes to the jail, he puts the baby next to Devaki, and then he himself shackles all this, the iron chains and everything which is there in that, in the jail. And they both then sit down there, right? So they have essentially swapped right now. Prasupta Pashupalikam Nibhritam Arudat. So Nibhritam, you can break it that much if you want. Nibhritam Arudat Balikam. Put the im at the end of that line, comma. Balikam. Next line, the ma becomes a. Apavrita Kavatikam. Pashupa Vati Kama Vishan. Bhavantam Ayam Arpayan. 3 parts there. Bhavantam Ayam Arpayan. Prasava Talpake. And then put a plus at the end of the third line. Third and fourth, we'll do it together. Tat Padat Vahan. Easier to say it that way because the dwa you have, right? In the next line, I'm just going by my book. The dwa you break it as it and ava, so it's easy to say it. So tat padat vahan kapata kanyakam swapuram agato vegataha. Prasupta pashupalikam nibrutamarudat balikam apavrita kavatikam pashupavatikam ha vishan. Bhavantamayam prasavatalpake tatpadat vahan kapatakanyakam swapuramaagato vegatah.
Prasubda Pasubalikam Nibrudat
Nibrutam Arudat.
Prasubda Pasubalikam Nibrutam Arudat Palikam Abhavrita Kavadikam Pasubavadikama Visan Bhavantamayam Arbayan Prasavada Kalpe तत्पात् वहन् कपटकन्यकां स्वपुरमागतो वेगतः.
Shanti, the third line, Prasava Talpake Tatpadat.
Okay. प्रसुब्ध पशुपालिकां नृपृतम् आरुदत्पालिकाम् अभावृत कबाडिकां पशुभवाडिकामाविशन् भवन्तमयमर्भयन् प्रसवतल्पके प्रसवतल्पके तत्पदात् वहन् कपटकन्यकां स्वपुरमागतो वेगतः.
प्रसुप्त पशुपालिकां निभृतमारुदत् बालिकाम् अपावृत कवाटिकां पशुपवाटिकामाविशन् भवन्तमयमर्पयन् प्रसवतल्पके तत्पदाद्वहन् कपटकन्यकां स्वपुरमागतो वेगतः. प्रसुप्त पशुपालिकां निभृतमारुदत् बालिकाम् अपावृत कवाटिकां पशुपवाटिकामाविशन् भवन्तमयमर्पयन् प्रसवतल्पके तत्पदात् वहन् कपटकन्यकां स्वपुरमागतो वेगतः.
Sansatri. ततस्त्वदनुजारवक्षपितनिद्रवेगद्रवद्भटोत्करनिवेदितप्रसववार्तयैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकुरोत्करस्त्वरितमापतन् भोजराट् अतुष्ट इव दृष्टवान् भगिनिकाकरे कन्यकाम्. So once Vasudeva brings the girl back to the jail, and then he shackles himself. So at that time, everything then goes back to normalcy. All the doors get shut and everything that happens. And suddenly there is a noise heard all through the jail. So we're going to first come back to Mathura, and then we're going to go back to Gokulam in this chapter. So now we all come to Mathura, where suddenly there's a noise heard through the jail about some baby crying. So they all knew Devaki was pregnant, and Kamsa knew this is the 8th baby that is going to be born. So Kamsa is also anxiously waiting, right, at this point. So when the watchmen, they all heard about this baby noise, they said, okay, 8th baby is born. First thing they have to go is inform their boss, right? So they all rush to Kamsa. It's in the middle of the night, sometime early in the morning, right? Kamsa is sleeping. So they wake up Kamsa and say the 8th baby has been born now. So he says Kamsa was so terrified at this point that, typically a king, when you get out, you make sure you are dressed and everything. He says Kamsa was not dressed at all. His hair was all over the place, because he suddenly woke up from sleep. He woke up terrified, and then the first thing he does is he takes a sword, and then he starts rushing towards the jail. Then he rushes towards the jail, and then he's waiting to see that Kala, that he's waiting to see the god of death who has come in the form of a baby to kill him, right? So he rushes towards there, and then he's surprised to see that Drishtavan Bhagini Kakare Kanyakam, in the hands of his sister. He's seeing a girl baby. So he's like, what, I'm supposed to be killed by the god, and how is there a small baby girl sitting in the hands of my sister, right? So he's really surprised to see this small girl who's sitting there, or a baby girl who's in her hands, Devaki's hands. So tatas tvad-anuja-rava kshapita nidra vega dravat, and then put a plus, bhatotkara nivedita prasava vartayai vartiman. So those two lines are together. Vimukta chikurot kharas tvaritam apatan bhojarat, put it. So ta, it, bhojarat, comma. Next line, the da that you have goes away, becomes a. Atushta iva drishtavan bhaginika kare kanyakam. ततस्त्वदनुजारवक्षपितनिद्रवेगद्रवद्भटोत्करनिवेदितप्रसववार्तयैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकुरोत्करस्त्वरितमापतन् भोजराट अतुष्ट इव दृष्टवान् भगिनिकाकरे कन्यकाम्. Shanti, mute irke.
तदस्त्वदनुजारवशपित निद्रवेगद्रवत्पडोत्करनिवेदितप्रसववार्तयैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकुरोत्करस्त्वरितमापतन् त्वरितमाबदन् भोजराट्
Tvaritamapatan bhojarat. That comes together.
त्वरितमाबदन् भोजराट् अदुष्टैव दृष्टवान् भगिनिगाकरे कन्यकाम् ततस्त्वदनुजारवशपितनित्रवेग त्रवत्पडोत्करनिवेदित प्रसववार्त्यैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकुरोत्करस्त्वरितमापदन् भोजराट् अदुष्ट इव दृष्टवान् भगिनिगागरे कन्यकाम्
ततस्त्वदनुजारवक्षपितनिद्रवेगद्रवद्बढोत्करनिवेदित प्रसववार्तयैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकिरोत्करस्त्वरितमापतन् भोजराट् अतुष्ट इव दृष्टवान् भगिनिकाकरे कन्यकाम्.
Lalita, the third line, Chikurot. Chikurot. Okay.
Okay, Chikuroth. ततस्त्वदनुजारवक्षपितनिद्रवेगद्रवद्भटोत्करनिवेदित प्रसववार्तयैवार्तिमान् विमुक्तचिकुरोत्करस्त्वरितमापतन् भोजराट् अतुष्ट इव दृष्टवान् भगिनिकाकरे कन्यकाम्.
Stanza 4. Dhruvam kapatashalino madhuharasya maya bhavet asaviti kishorikam bhagnika karalingitam dvipo nalinikantaradiva mrinalikamakshipan ayam tvadanujamajamupalapattake pishtavan. So Kamsa, while at one point he was ready to kill Devaki, if you remember a long time back, right, when he heard the Akshohini tell. So, but then he's spared because, Vasudeva said it's a woman, why are you killing your sister, all that stuff. So then he's, of course, killed he's killed 6 babies, if you remember, because the 7th one was supposedly born dead, right? So, but all of them were somehow boy babies. So somehow he didn't feel, he was completely merciless killing them. But now when it's a girl baby, so Devaki is going and he's like, Kamsa is also debating, how is this a girl? He's saying it must be some kapatam, some trick that Vishnu has done, because of which this baby is born as a girl. How can this baby be born as a girl, and how can a girl baby kill me? So he's also contemplating. So Devaki is like begging with him, saying, you know what, brother, you killed all of my babies. This is a girl baby. This is supposed to be like your daughter-in-law. This is going to be your future daughter-in-law, right? Why would you want to kill your future daughter-in-law? And what can a girl baby do to you? So Devaki is begging. And she's holding the baby tight, right? Not wanting to let go. And she's pleading to Kamsa. But Kamsa, of course, is determined. He says, this must be some trick that Hari is playing. And I'm not going to fall for this trick. It's been said the 8th baby is going to kill me. I'm going to get rid of this. So it says, Kamsa plucks the baby from Devaki, just like how an elephant plucks the trunk of a lotus. Right? That's how it says, just how an elephant goes to the lotus and plucks it. Similarly, Kamsa being so big, small, tiny baby, which Devaki is holding, he plucks it by the feet of the baby and he lifts it, and then he goes and tries to smash it on a stone to get rid of the baby, right? So, Dhruvam kapata shalino madhu harasya maya bhavet. Put it at the end of that line. Next line, the da becomes a asaviti kishorikam Bhaginika Karalingitam Dvipo Nalini Kantaradiva Mrinali Kam Akshipanne. Put a in at the end of that line. Mrinali Kamakshipanne, comma. Next line you have a in and a na. If you have removed both of it, put a. I am Twadanujam. I'm going to break it into 4 parts there. Twadanujam Ajam Upala. Those are the 3 words there. I am Twadanujamajam Upala Pattake Pishtavan. So he says this Ajam, your sister, talking, Bhattacharya is telling Krishna, your sister, which is Yogamaya, is Ajam. She is a birthless one. So no, you can't do anything to her. You can't kill her or make her be born. So that sister, Kamsa is plucking and tries to smash on the stone. Dhruvam kapatashalino madhuharasya maya bhavet asaviti kishorikam bhaginika karalingitam dvipo nalinikantaradiva mrinalika makshipanne ayam tvadanujamajamupalapattake pishtavan.
ध्रुवं कपटशालिनो मधुहरस्य माया भवेत् असाविधि किशोरिकां भगिनिगा करालिङ्गितां विभो नलिनिगान्तरादिव मृणालिकामाक्षियन् कामाक्षिबन् अयं त्वदनुजाम् अजामुपलपट्टके पृष्टवान् ध्रुवं कपटशालिनो मधुहरस्य माया भवेत् असाविधि किशोरिकां भगिनिका करालिङ्गितां विभो नलिनिगान्धरादिव मृणालिकामाक्षिबन् अयं त्वदनुजाम् अजामुपलपट्टके पृष्टवान्
ध्रुवं कपटशालिनो मधुहरस्य माया भवेत् असाविति किशोरिकां भगिनिका करालिङ्गितां द्विपो नलिनिकान्तरादिव मृणालिकामाक्षिपन् अयं त्वदनुजाम् अजामुपलपट्टके पिष्टवान् ध्रुवं कपटशालिनो मधुहरस्य माया भवेत् असाविति किशोरिकां भगिनिका करालिङ्गितां द्विपो नलिनी कान्तरादिव मृणालिकामाक्षिपन् अयं त्वदनुजाम् अजामुपलपट्टके पिष्टवान्.
That's right. ततो भवदुपासको झटिति मृत्युपाशादिव प्रमुच्यतरसैव सा समधिरूढरूपान्तरा अधस्तलमजग्मुषी विकसदष्टबाहुस्फुरन् महायुधमहो गता किल विहाय सा दिद्युते. This is just like how any devotee who prays to you, you immediately snatch him away from the clutches of death. Similarly, when Kamsa was about to hit that baby onto the stone, that baby slipped out of his hands, and that baby then went up into the sky. That means not touching the ground. The baby never touched the ground. It then went up onto the sky, and then it showed a form. I'm just going to chant because there are a lot of people here, Padma Garu, Usha, then we have Radha, Sundari, all who know Devi Mahatmyam. I'm going to say one Dhyana Slokam from Devi Mahatmyam, which is pretty much what Bhagavatam also describes and what is also there. So you all know this. Khadgam Chakra Gadeshu Chapa Parigan Chulam Bushundim Shiraha Shankam Sandadatim Karais Trinayanam Sarvanga Bhusha Vritam Neelashmadhyudimasya Pada Dashakam Seve Mahakalikam Yamastotsupite Haro Kamalajo Hantum Madum Kaitabham. This is the form of Devi with 8 hands. And in the 8 hands, she's actually holding 8 different weapons, right? It has Chakram, Khadgam is sword, Chakra is discus, the club. She's holding all the 8 weapons. And so what Kamsa sees, he's in the sky, which means not in the earth. He's just seeing above him. He sees the form of Devi with 8 hands, right? And he's seeing that Mahakali's form with 8 hands. And then Kamsa is really getting scared now because he's never seen such a form before, right? That massive form of Durga now comes in front of him. And now she's going to tell something which is going to come in the next stanza. That's what is happening. So when he tries to smash, the baby then takes a completely different form. And that's what they describe, that 8, the forms of the Devi, which I think Devi Mahatmya, of course, describes it best. That's why I kind of chanted that. But Narayaneeyam is saying it in a very brief way, right? So tato bhavadupasako jhatiti mrityu pashadiva, pramuchya tarasaiva sa samadhi rudha rupantara Adas Thalama Jagmushi Bikasadashta Bahu Spura, but then put a plus, and then you can say with the in later. So Bahu Spuran Mahayudamaho Gata Kila Vihayasa Didyute. So stand lines 3 and 4 are together. Tato Bhavadupasako Chhatiti Mrityupashadiva Pramuchyatara sa Samadhi-rudha Rupantara Adasthalamajagmushi Vikasadashtabahusphuran Mahayudamaho Gata Kila Vihayasa Didyute.
Dado bhavadu basako jadidi mrityu bashadiva pramuchyadara saiva sa samadhiruda rupandara adasthalamajagmushi vikasadashta bahuspuran mahayudabaho gada kila vihaya sadityute. Tado bhavatu pasako jadidi mrityubhasadiva pramuchya dasaiva sa samadhi
Tarasaiva.
Pramuchya tarasaiva sa samadhiruda rupandara adhasthalamajakmushi vikasadashta bahuspuran mahayuda maho kadakila vihaya sadityute.
ततो भवदुपासको झटिति मृत्युपाशादिव प्रमुच्य तरसैव सा समधिरूढरूपान्तरा अधस्तलमजग्मुषी विकसदष्ट बाहुस्फुरन् महायुधमहो गता किल विहाय सादित्युते ततो भवदुपासको झटिति मृत्युपाशादिव प्रमुच्य तरसैव सा समधिरूढरूपान्तरा अधस्तलमजग्मुषी विकसदष्ट बाहुस्फुरन् महायुधमहो गता किल विहाय सादित्युते.
Stanza 6. Nishamsatarakams te kimumaya vinishpishtaya bhabhuva bhavadantaka kvachana chintyatam te hitam iti tvadanujha vibhokhalamudhiryatam jagmushi marudganapanayita bhuvicha mandiranye yushi. So this Devi who now comes with Ashtabahu, she tells Kamsa, Nishamsatara, he says, oh, extremely cruel person Kamsa you are. She says, you are not only cruel, she says, you are also a fool. He says, why are you trying to kill me? He says, you killing me is not going to help you. She says, the person who is about to kill you, that supreme personality of God, has already been born. And he's already now being born on this earth, and he's going to be killing you. You don't know where he is. He says, he's somewhere born in your land, right? And he's already been born. There's no use of you trying to hurt me. She says, stop unnecessarily killing other children, because you're not going to be able to do anything about it. He's already born. So with this, Yoga Maya disappears. Now, I'll again go back to Devi Mahatmya, because there are some very nice things which happen there which reference this, right? So for those who remember 11th chapter Devi Mahatmya, where it says Devyu Vacha Vaivasvatentare Prapte Ashtavimshati Me Yuge Shumbho Nishumbhaschaivanya Utpatsete Mahasurav. Devi says, in the Vaivasvata Manvantara, in the Ashtavimshati Yuga, 28th one, there will be two demons will be born, Madhu and Kaitaba will be born. She says, Nanda Gopa Grihe Jata Yashoda Garbha Sambhava Tatastaunasha Yishyami Vindhyachala Nivasini. So Devi says, at that time, I am going to take birth. And she says, I am going to take birth where? I am going to go to Nanda Gopa's house, and I am going to get into the Garbham of Yashoda, and there I am going to be born, Devi says. And then she says, I am then going to go to the Vindhyachala mountains, and I am going to be in the various forms. So that is the pact that Narayana and Devi, Yoga Maya, who is just a feminine energy of the Lord, made a pact that we both are going to come together, and I'm going to do certain things, you're going to do certain things, right? So this Devi now, once she tells this to Kamsa, she then goes and settles into the various temples. There are 108 Punya Kshetrams of Devi, where this Devi then goes in and sets into those idols, right? So that is what is happening here. That's when she's known as several names, the 108 names, and that's what this Devi becomes. So she then leaves Kamsa and then she goes there. So Nishamsatara Kamsa. So put a comma there after that. Te kimu maya vinishpishtaya, comma, bhabuva bhavadantakaha. Is there put a ich sound? Bhavadantakah. Kvachana chintyatam te hitam. Iti tvadanuja vibho khalamudirya tam jagmushi, comma, marut gana panayita bhuvicha mandiranye yushi. Nishamsatarakams te kimumaya vinishpishtaya bhabhuva bhavadantaka kvachana chintyatam te hitam iti tvadanuja vibho khalamudiryatam jagmushi marudganapanayita bhuvicha mandiranye yushi.
Nrisam sadara kamsa te kimumaya vinishpishtaya bhabhuva bhavadantah क्वचन चिन्त्यतां देहितम् इति त्वदनुजा विभो खलमुदीर्यतं जग्मुषि मृत्कणबणायिता भुवि च मन्दिराण्येयुषु
Marud. And the fourth line, first one, Marudgana. Okay, fourth line.
Marudgana. Yeah.
Yeah, and the first line on the Kamsa, kapram, there's a comma. Nishamsatara Kamsa. It's like an exclamation, so we'll just pause there.
Okay. Mrisam sadara kamsa te kimumaya vinishpishtaya babuva bavadantaha क्वचन चिन्त्यतां देहितम् इति त्वदनुजा विभो खलमुदीर्यतं जग्मुषि मरुद्गणपणायिदा भुवि च मन्दिराण्येयुषि
ऋषं सतरकं सते किमु मया विनिष्पिष्टया बभूव भवदन्तकः क्वचन चिन्त्यतां ते हितम् इति त्वदनुजा विभो खलमुदीर्यतं जग्मुषि मरुद्गणपणायिता भुवि च मन्दिराण्येयुषि.
Lalita, in the first line, Nishamsatara Kamsa, kapram, there's a pause, okay? You can put a comma there.
नृशंसतरकं सते किमु मया विनिष्पिष्टया बभूव भवदन्तकः क्वचन चिन्त्यतां ते हितम् इति त्वदनुजा विभो खलमुदीर्यतं जग्मुषि मरुद्गणपणायिता भुवि च मन्दिराण्येयुषि.
And then the first line, I'll just say that Nisham Satara Kamsa, and there's a pause. Te Kimumaya Vinishpishtaya. Okay, so on that, just make sure you link small pause there, okay? Stanza 7. Go to one more and stop today. Praghe Punaragatmaja Vachanamidita Bhubuja Pralamba Bakaputana Pramukadhana Vamaninaha Bhavan Kamyaya Jagati Bhabramur Nirbhayaha Kumaraka Vimarakaha Kimiva Dushkaram Nishkripaihi. So when Devi tells that to Kamsa, like, he's completely shattered, right? So because first of all, he's super scared that the eighth baby is already born somewhere. That's number one. Then when he sees this ferocious form of Devi, he's even more scared, right? Saying that even this Devi, such a person, comes in and she's not even doing anything to me, because she's so confident the eighth baby is going to do something. So he gets even more scared, and then he finally realizes his mistakes. And he says, you know what, I think I did make a mistake by killing all the babies, right? And he actually frees Devaki and Vasudeva from the jail. He releases them from the jail, saying that I'm actually sorry, I didn't realize this, and then he releases them from the jail. And then he goes to sleep. For the first time, Kamsa is a little calm because he's not too worried. But what happens the next day morning when he calls all his ministers, right, and his supporters, and he tells them what actually happened. So this Pralamba, Baka, Putana, three people who are referenced, who are all going to come later. We are going to see all of them individually come later. So they all are coming and saying that is the worst thing you can do. Yes, if the baby is born, we are going to go all over your kingdom, and any baby who's born in the last few days, we are going to go kill those babies. He said, we will take care of it for you, right? So this Pralamba, Baka, Putana say that, and then Kamsa says, yeah, good idea, right? Go do that. So when I was growing up in Bombay, anytime a baby is born somewhere, there are these, there used to be this the trans people who were in Bombay, right? And they used to immediately know where a baby is born. And they used to come and bless and collect the money. And we always used to wonder, how do they know a baby has been born there, right? But they somehow know where babies are born, which hospital, which house it went to. So similarly, Pralamba, Baka, Putana are deciding, I'm going to go wander around the kingdom, find out wherever babies are born, and start getting rid of those babies. So here, Bhattaripat says, Kimiva Dushkaram Nishkripaihi. For people who are completely merciless, there is no stopping to what they will, continue to do. They will just continue to go on mercilessly killing people. So Prage Punaraghatmaja Bachanam Irita Bhubuja, Pralamba Baka Putana Pramukha Danava Maninaha Bhavan Nidana Kamyaya Jagati Bhabramur Nirbhayaha, Kumaraka Vimarakaha. We'll pause there, Kimiva Dushkaram Nishkripaihi. प्रखे पुनरगात्मजा वचनमीरिता भूभुजा प्रलम्बबकपूतना प्रमुखदानवामानिनः भवन्निधनकाम्यया जगति बभ्रमुर्निर्भयाः कुमारकविमारकाः किमिव दुष्करं निष्कृपैः.
ராஜேஷ் அந்த மூணாவது லைன்ல பப்ரு முர்னு இருக்கு எனக்கு. ஜகதி பப்ரு முர்.
बभ्रमुर्.
பப்ரமுர்.
Yeah, bha first ba second bha babhramur nirbhayaah.
प्रगे पुनरगात्मजा वसनमीरिता भूभुजा प्रलम्ब भगभूदना प्रमुगदानवामानिनः भवन्निधनकाम्यया जगदि भभ्रमुर्निर्भयाः कुमारगविमारकाः किमिव दुष्करं निष्कृपैः right?
Nishkripaihi.
Okay. प्रके पुनरगात्मजा वसनमीरिता भूभुजा प्रलम्ब भगभूदना प्रमुगदानवामानिनः भवन्निधनकाम्यया जगदि बभ्रमुर्निर्भयाः कुमारगविमारकाः किमिव दुष्करं निष्कृपैः.
प्रगे पुनरगात्मजा वचनमीरिता भूभुजा प्रलम्ब भगपूतना प्रमुखदानवामानिनः भवन्निधनकाम्यया जगति बभ्रमुर्निर्भयाः कुमारकविमारकाः किमिव दुष्करं निष्कृपैः. प्रगे पुनरगात्मजा वचनमीरिता भूभुजा प्रलम्ब भगभूतना प्रमुखदानवामानिनः भवन्निधनकाम्यया जगति बभ्रमुर्निर्भयाः कुमारकविमारकाः किमिव दुष्करं निष्कृपैः.
Shri Krishnaya Parabrahmane Namaha. So this kind of completes the Mathura side. So now everything that's going to happen now is going to happen in Gokulam, which we'll cover in the next class. सान्ध्वानन्दावबोधात्मकमनुपमितं कालदेशावधिभ्यां निर्मुक्तं नित्यमुक्तं निगमशतसहस्रेण निर्भास्यमानम् अस्पष्टं दृष्टमात्रे पुनरुरुपुरुषार्थात्मकं ब्रह्मतत्त्वं तत्तावद्भाति साक्षात् गुरुपवनपुरे हन्त भाग्यं जनानां कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि. Thank you all. See you next week.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Thank you, Rajesh.
Bye everyone.
Rajesh. Bye.
Thanks, Rajesh.
Thank you, Andy.
Bye.